Dude, I told you we were gonna get lost! It was your idea to come here in the first place! Guys, I thought I heard something!
Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. I am Sean Miller. I'm your host for the Blood on the Lens podcast, brought to you by Darkframe, and I'm joined here with founder, engineer, all around chill dude, Carlos of Darkframe fame. And we're also very excited to be joined by a super, super awesome guest. Really looking forward to getting into this conversation. He's a writer, director, executive producer, and by the time this comes out and you're watching it, he is the executive producer on Backrooms from A24. We're joined by none other than Chris White. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's a real treat. It's spoiler alert, we got to talk to Chris for a couple hours. He was very generous with his time, and I mean, what an inspiring conversation. Creatively, yeah. I mean, my God, it lit a fire under my ass. after I got off, yeah. I was like, what have I been doing? I stayed up until 3 a.m. the next night, just like tying up some loose ends on stuff that I've had that it's like almost there. And then just to hear you talk about the process, I was like, that's it. Yeah. That's what I got to do. So we're, I want to talk to you a lot about that because I think it's going to be really inspiring for young filmmakers, artists, creatives of any kind, really. Yeah, because you're very tasteful in your work and how you present it. Mm-hmm. So let's get into that. Let's talk about your work. I'm going to stop talking and let you go for it for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, with Backrooms, with this version of Backrooms, I've known about Backrooms through the games and the mythology before it, but this particular one was created by our filmmakers, Kane Parsons, who goes by Kane Pixels. And the way I came across it is that my son actually showed it to me. It was a few years ago, and he was like, "Dad, you got to check this out. It's really awesome." So I took a look, and I was like, "You're right. This is really awesome." Sure. And I was watching, and I was like, "Damn, this is damn good." And he was like, "Yeah, the kid, he's like 16." I was like, 16? This is unbelievable. So, I reached out to him, and I had told him, "Look, I think you definitely have talent." And, I work in the business and I may know some folks who could be interested in taking this to the next level. If you're interested, let's talk and let's see where it could go. And he, responded. And I did a call with him and his dad, and his dad was really cool. And he was his dad apparently comes from a VFX background. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, he appreciates it a lot. Then.
Yeah, I believe I may be wrong. I may be because I'm thinking back, but it might have been in video games. But he does have a VFX background. So the call with the dad went really good. Him and his wife are super supportive of Kane, and he was like, "Yeah, just let's see what happens." So I had sent it out to a few folks. And then all of them pretty much responded the same way. And but where we ended up was with Atomic Monster. And I had sent it over to James and Michael. And I told them, I was like, look, there's something here. There's either a series or a feature film that we could develop. But this kid's got talent. He's a young kid, but he's got talent. Talent is talent. It doesn't matter your age. It's kind of like, a prodigy pianist, right? If they're 13 years old and they're playing like the best 40-year-old whoever did it, they're going to be in Carnegie Hall. It doesn't matter if they're 13, 14. Greatness is greatness. So it was kind of, like with Kane, it was the same thing. It was like, yeah, he's a kid, but he's obviously has vision. He obviously knows how to tell a story. And you just can't deny the talent. Plus, I mean, it didn't hurt that he had like ridiculous views on it already, and it was already
millions.
you know, that all plays into the factor, right? That's all part of the sell.
Yeah.
That when you're presenting, it's like, not only is this kid really good and has this talent, but look at the response. This is an audience. These are fans. This is showing you, right, because that's who we all service in the entertainment. Or it's the audience, it's the fans. So you go by what they like, and obviously they like this thing, and they think it's awesome, and it's blowing up. And you know, right away, that was pretty much like an hour or two after I sent the email, I'd gotten a response back from James and Michael, and they were like, "Yeah, we love it. Let's you know, set something up." And that was one of those few ones where, you know, sometimes the response can take some time, but this one, I don't know, it was something about it, about what Kane did with Backrooms that really got everyone super excited. It was probably one of the few, and I've been in it for a while, the few reactions that were so immediate and quick, to where it was almost like, damn, yeah, everyone wants to jump on it. Because, you know, we, besides Atomic Monster, we were going to a few other places that have definitely done some, you know, big IPs. And it was all the same. It just came down to, you know, they like James, you know, James Wan, and they loved this vibe, and they're fan, you know, Kane's fan of his stuff. And yeah, it just worked. You know, it went from there. So from there, then everyone else got involved, the A24 and 21 Labs. And now we flash forward, and, you know, the movie comes out next month.
There you go.
That's amazing. That's an incredible story.
Go
ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
No, I was just curious. You had mentioned that, like, the amount of time it took for a response, right? Usually it takes longer. Would you say you messaged them and then maybe you said it was an hour after they were like?
It was like maybe an hour or 2 hours. I would have to, I still have the email. I'd have to go check the, especially for, you know, Atomic Monster. I have to check the email, but it was really quick. It was definitely within that same day. It wasn't it was like an hour or two. It was an hour or two.
That's really probably fast. Like not very common, right?
Not that fast. Not to where it's like, you know, that's when you know you have something where people are really excited.
Sure.
That they're gonna respond that quickly, especially guys like, you know, Atomic Monster. You know, these guys are the best of the best. And some of these other pretty big ones, they're all the best of the best. So to get them all so excited so quickly and immediately, where they were like, yeah, we got to meet this kid now, was really, really, you know, that, you know, not that stuff like that doesn't, but it doesn't happen often. Not that quick.
Sure.
At least from my experience. Maybe, you know, it's everyone has different experiences. But, you know, usually it's like a week or maybe 2 weeks later or something like that. This was almost like, as soon as you said send, it was like, we need.
It sounds like his body of work and his audience, that was the pitch.
Besides the folks that I was setting up meetings, you know, other people in the industry were getting hip to him and also reaching out to him as well.
Sure.
You know, thankfully I was the quickest. So
there you go. Everyone was after him.
Everyone was after him. You know, I got in there early. So
there you go.
You know, it was just one of those things. You know, it wasn't like a hard sell. You already saw his vision. You saw what it was. He's a really mature kid. He's super smart, and he's a talent. You know, it's just one of those things where it was one hell of a situation for him to go from a YouTube video, and now he has a whole series, as you guys know, on there of Backrooms videos. But to go from that to, I mean, you're in Hollywood now. You're making Hollywood movies. This is Hollywood. It's a studio film. You know, as I mentioned, he had mentioned one time that he had wanted to go to film school, and I was like, for what? Like, why? Why waste money? Why waste money to do, like, you just graduated past film school. Like, you're where most people that go to film school, like, it's only really a small percentage that actually really makes it in film school, right? Otherwise, everyone coming out of, like, you know, all the film schools that have their next studio film set up and everything like that, because the one thing that film school could teach you all the fundamentals and all the theories and everything like that, but it can't teach you talent, right? So you either have that or you don't, and it doesn't matter. All as many film schools or art schools or whatever, even like art, you still have to be a a naturally talented artist to be great. You can't just you can't have no knowledge and no talent, and all of a sudden it's just like, and that goes with all, like, every area. If you look at sports, like the Michael Jordans stand out more than like there's just a certain, not that everyone else isn't good, because they're definitely great, but then you have exceptional, where he's flying across the court like a special effect. You're like, how the hell is this man doing this? So well, it's the response to the trailer has been really good, and I think it looks like it's going to do pretty well, maybe in fact very, very well from the response. And I think it is like this new, like you were saying, so I think you said your kids, right? We're looking forward to it. That seems like, I think that's this generation's horror film.
Sure.
Right? Like, because it's that, it's your daughter's generation, my son's generation, Kane's generation. That is the one that is like super, super, like, this is theirs to claim.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Our horror film of our generation that's gonna change things up, because that's all I'm hearing, like, from all my friends that have kids. Oh, my kids can't wait to see Backrooms.
Wow.
Backrooms. So I think this is gonna be that one.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Blair Witch a little bit, because that was a sensation too, right?
Yeah.
So Backrooms started as a pretty much an anonymous photograph in 4chan, and it had the caption under it, and everyone started just to be like, the community came up with it, right? And then Kane just took what was, because look, there's been games before Kane did his videos and all that type of stuff, but what he did was he took his own approach and created his own, added his own mythology, and that's why his really stood out from everyone else's. Like, this guy's got a really good grasp on what would make for a really good, a great narrative for Backrooms. And then just to pair, you take that and you pair him up with, one of these great writers out here that can bring, because, you got to bring that sensibility with his sensibility. And then, okay, how do we make an actual story that's going to be like, for a feature film of this caliber? It has to be a little more, even though his mythology is pretty rich, you really got to make something that's going to be engaging for a mainstream, wider audience, especially if it's like $15 to go to the theater. You got you really got to make sure.
You know what? When the kids were like, Backrooms, I want to see Backrooms. I'm like, okay, that's going to be like $175 for me to take all you guys.
Do you do the what's always, well, it depends on how often you go to the theater, but like AMC's A-List or Regal, where $8 a month and you can see like pretty much unlimited movies?
My wife and I do Regal, so we just go Battery Park, just go there, chill, because when it's not super cold, we're at the movies all the time.
Yeah, we got the Alamo Draft House out here. The Draft House is pretty cool. Once you got those like reclining seats and you can get a personal pizza, it's like, I'm never going to go to another theater again. Like, I don't care. It's going to cost me $50, but this is living.
It gets a little too comfortable though. You start getting heavy eyes.
Can you talk a little bit about the horror genre and why you gravitate toward that? Because, this is a horror platform and we've got a lot of people that love the medium. So maybe I'll lob you a softball. What's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Is that for me or for Carlos?
Either one. Whoever wants to take it. Yeah, both Carlos, you guys.
That's a hard question, because there's so many really good ones. If I had to really, really choose, it would probably be Alien, which is considered sci-fi horror. It's a perfect merging of both genres. Ridley Scott just kind of outdid himself, honestly. And that to me, I absolutely love like Alien. I have everything Alien. I've watched every movie. People hate Alien 3. I love Alien 3.
Alien 3 is actually good. The director's cut is the one.
Yeah,
the director's cut.
It's really, really good. Yeah. And I read an analysis of the whole movie series, and it just is kind of, there is a cohesive narrative across all of them, like about social class. Sigourney Weaver's character is so powerful, and also stands up to everybody. Even in the third, you know, she takes control of her life by sacrificing herself because she has the alien side of her. So I love it. I can talk about it like all day. But yeah, that would be mine. The first Alien.
I got my popcorn back out, buddy. You were on a roll.
Listen, if I keep on going, I'll just but yeah.
Chris, how about you?
It's the same. You know, Alien right there.
I saw that.
Yeah, a bunch of aliens. So yeah, you know, Alien is one of the best films that ever did it, and it's just, you know, and that also comes down to Geiger's design, Blake Giger's design, and I mean that played a big part. Besides the movie, I think why it's so iconic is because of the design of Alien, of the xenomorph, and the facehugger, and the chest burster, and the egg. You know, no one had seen anything like that when it first came out. And then still, you know, to this day, there's, you know, very few creature designs that just hold up, that look just so awesome. And that's something that was always, you know, I've always been big on creatures and everything like that. And, you know, I just fell in love with just the whole, the life cycle of it, the design of it, you know, how it operates. You know, it's just a killing machine. It's just awesome. But then going to the movie, you know, itself is that, you know, you just have the great thing about it. You had a great ensemble cast, great characters that you really were, you know, invested in. It was shot, you know, amazing. Not very few films were shot like how Ridley was shooting it. And you know, it just set it apart. And then obviously you had Aliens that just took it to the next level. You know, with the Queen. I used to have a really dope Queen. Man, it got messed up. But yeah, it was just like, you know, James Cameron did his thing. You heard how he pitched it, right? Is a very crazy story.
So tell us.
So apparently he goes in and there's like a whiteboard in the office or in the conference room. And then he just goes and tells them, because this is after Terminator, the first Terminator. And then he just writes aliens. And he says, like, what's another one? He says aliens. And put the S, and he puts a dollar sign as the S. And they were like, so. And that was it. You know,
that's pretty funny.
He has a formula down. He has a formula down. That is for sure. That is for damn sure. He's like, I'm gonna go Avatar 1 through 10. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny everybody's route to horror and stuff like that, because my oldest son is really into it. My dad showed me the original version of The Thing, the black and white one from like the 50s, I think.
Nice. Yep.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's a pretty intense movie. And then I saw the remake.
Carpenters.
And not the same movie. And then I
totally different.
Blew my mind. And it was like the scariest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, what am I watching? And that kind of like blew it open for me, you know, where I think it's kind of neck and neck, that one. And honestly, Suspiria, the latest version of that one.
Yeah, the new one is pretty good.
Man, the new one's pretty creepy. That's a pretty intense movie.
Did you guys see Martyrs?
Of course.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you gotta see Martyrs. That one, I'm not into touching into certain type of films.
Yeah.
There's films where it's like, torture. Like with the Saw films, when you watch the Saw films, when you go to see the Saw films, you're just really going to go see the traps, right? You're going to say, okay, the traps, whatever. But with Martyrs, it's such, even though there's the torture aspect in it, it's just so profoundly done and deep on how it's presented. It's a hell of a movie. You got to watch it. It's really on some but watch the French version. You got to watch the French version. I think there's an American version. Don't watch that version. Watch the American remake. There was a remake of it. Don't watch the remake. The French one hits you in a really profound, because it brings up some questions just about really what's life after death. And these people are kind of just pushing this one person to the brink to see what's past there. But you have to go through this whole, ordeal in order to get there. But stuff like that is, films like that are just really, really well done. I watched it twice. It's not really the film that you keep rewatching. You don't have like a background. It's not like on the TV on the background while you're doing other stuff. But those type of films hit hard. There's so many really great horror films. I think what's funny is horror genre tends to be kind of snooted down on a bit.
It is
a little.
It is.
But yet it's one of the funny thing is it's one of the biggest money makers.
Yeah.
It's launched tons of careers.
That's what a lot of people get their start, right? Because it doesn't like low budget indie. Yeah.
Well, that was like Johnny Depp was in Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
Yeah, that's true. That is.
I think he was on some other little thing, but that's pretty much from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's launched tons and tons of careers. And sure, there's a lot of garbage horror films, but that's like there's tons of garbage comedies out. There's a ton of garbage buddy movies out. There's like, so many, you can say that about any, category of film. But there's also some really extraordinarily well done horror films that are just, like I was just watching The Blob again, the remake, and that shit is fun.
Oof. Yeah, that's a scary one too, man. Yeah, when the guy's arm, she's like pulling him out, and his arm comes off.
Oh yeah, in the doctor's office.
Yeah, man.
In the kitchen scene and putting the hand into the drain.
Yeah.
Just lots of like those films are just awesome. Then you got The Fly, which again, Cronos.
Oh my God.
That's so good.
That was a terrifying
really,
one.
really well done.
Yeah.
There's so much. The list goes on and on. I think it's a great genre. And who the biggest fans of horror are women. They're actually a lot of guys I know don't care for horror that much.
That's funny. My wife's a huge horror fan, and I would say that I always loved it, right? But she was the one who got me super into it.
Yep.
So you're absolutely right.
Women are the number one customer base for it. Because they just love it. They love the little darker stuff. In fact, if you think about it, they're the ones that would have like, I guess, little, hey, we're gonna have a night and watch some horror films and we'll all scream together, and guys don't really do that.
I'm curious. Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
No. Go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
I'm curious about some of the more recent films that have been really popular, Chris, and just kind of get your, I guess, your temperature gauge on them. One of them recently, of course, was Sinners. Did really, really well. It's not I feel like horror. It has horror elements.
Towards the last half.
Exactly. It just has.
That's when it happens.
It definitely is there's definitely like some undertones of horror, but it's just something else entirely.
Yeah, it's not a straight horror film. So, but it is something else, because the vampire, all that doesn't kick in really hardcore to the last act, really.
Right.
that's where it really goes down. But other horror films, what else is out?
Weapons was really popular, and then I mean, I think it was 2 years ago. The Substance was really
Oh
big
yeah,
too.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
Weapons yet, but I did see The Substance in the theater.
What was
And
your take on that? Because it was kind of like I
you know
was
what,
surprised that it was
I
that popular.
I thought it was. I liked it,
Yeah.
but the last 20 minutes, I think you either are all in at that point, and you're just
Oh,
like,
dude, I
It
was
just,
got
all
really
in.
absurd. It got
or
really absurd.
that
Yeah.
I felt I was going along with it, but I felt the same way. I was like, okay, now you kind of losing me a little bit on
Yeah.
the absurdness of it.
Yeah.
Because up to that, I was like, okay, we're going. You know, it has all the elements of
Yeah.
Cronenberg and everything else that I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the last 20 minutes where that can sort of, it didn't necessarily break the movie for me,
Right.
but I was just like, I could have done if they just went in a
Sure.
little, you know, not so gonzo. That shit just went so gonzo crazy.
Yeah.
Absurd, and then
It
she's like a
really,
full
yeah. I
monster
agree.
on the stage, and things are
Yeah.
exploded everywhere. It's just like, I don't know. You had a good thing going.
It definitely landed differently at the very end. I
Yep.
agree with that. Definitely.
Yep.
Is there a particular flavor of horror from culturally, like around the world, that you think they just do, like they've got a certain finesse or something that is unique that pops out to you? Both of you guys.
I'll let Chris go.
You know, I think with well, you know, Japan obviously has a lot of the ghost stuff now. Um, it's part of the culture, and you know, they do some really well done uh takes that I know the American takes didn't have that same type of flavor. Usually the American takes lose something. Um, and I think, you know, it's due to a cultural thing. But I think when it comes down to, or if it's like the French films, like the films that we were talking about, like Martyrs or Inside or Frontiers, Frontiers, or what's another one?
I think you mentioned High Tension earlier.
Oh yeah, High Tension.
Yeah.
High Tension. You know, those went a little further than you might see in an American sort of film. You know, that sort of brutality, um, and just sort of violence. But the thing is that it's done really well, right? It's not done where it's just, yeah, it's intense, but it's not done in a sloppy way or just a surface level way. It's a bit deeper than that, and it fits because, you know, just because something is super violent doesn't necessarily make it good. You still have to have more to it than just the violence, because then it's just a movie of violence, and after a while that gets boring, right? It's like, okay, but like with High Tension, even though it's a violence, you're dealing with someone who psychologically is like they're all the same personality per se, right? So um that was a cool. I know some people didn't care for the twist; they thought it was a cop out, but it made sense because it was like, well, if you watch it, it sets it up from the beginning. But what it is, um, but you know, I think each yeah, every country, or, you know, is gonna have their own little spin. Like, you know, Korean horror has a certain flavor to it. Italian, like you were saying, you know, like some of the Italian slashers, that has a total feel and style to it that was established. Everyone has something that they're bringing to the table that's gonna make it interesting. But at its core, besides the style and everything, is always still gonna be the stories. It's just how good the stories are and how effective and how well made it is. And a lot of those films that come out are the ones that get the attention, are actually well made. You know, they're well made films that stand out. So, you know.
Carlos, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
I mean, there's a lot of foreign cinema I love in terms of horror, but what came to mind while talking about this was there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Spain, like a lot of their stuff, and also Mexico, of course. And it's a cultural thing. I mean, like, scary stories are part of a lot of those cultures. They always will be. So what they're producing is amazing. They take a bit more risk. But what I'm thinking of specifically is Rec, REC.
Oh, right.
And
Great.
Amazing. And it's all like, it's pretty much just all filmed in like maybe like it's one building, right? 5-6 floors. And it was just an amazing sort of like handheld.
It's a great take on the found footage genre,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
You know, because with Rec, and of course there's the American version, Quarantine. But Rec, I think Quarantine is almost a shot for shot remake of Rec.
I haven't seen it.
It's pretty much the same. It's the same thing, pretty much. But it's it gave that flavor that found footage after a while was becoming kind of redundant of locating what it was doing, and now you have something where it's like, okay, you got this SWAT team. I forgot, the scene that goes into this building that's on lockdown, and then it turns out people are possessed, and it was just really, really dope. It was just a really cool take on it that was missing for a minute. But yeah, I agree. Spain has some, bangers that come out of it as well. And of course, like you said, Mexico as well. I mean, we have Guillermo, who's before, one of his first films was Cronos, which was really good, which was basically a vampire tale. The grandfather, his granddaughter.
Right.
And that was, that's one of the first films. That's actually, I think was that the first film I saw of his. I think that was the first Guillermo film that I saw before his other films was that one. And then of course, I liked Mimic. I thought Mimic was pretty cool.
That was cool.
It's, in fact, I was looking at Pluto TV yesterday. It was coming on. I was gonna watch it.
That was a cool era. That was a cool era.
I think it's just every country and like you were saying, Carlos, and I think I mentioned it before, is the cultural thing. You're gonna get a nice different flavor.
Yeah.
Let's say a ghost story, but it'll be from that culture's perspective. Then it'll be different than, let's say, a ghost story here. Because everyone has, people from all over the world have different versions of what scares you. And, a lot of times scares, it doesn't matter what the culture is, it's pretty universal. If it's well done.
It is,
and that's what makes horror films awesome. What I think is one of those few genres that translates pretty well, even if it's in a different language or, actors that you may not know, is because at the end of the day, if it looks scary and it's scary, that's all that matters.
Right. Yeah.
How many foreign films have we seen where it's like, sometimes you may recognize some of the actors, but for the most part, being that, and they may be, good actors, great actors out there, but here in the States, may not recognize them, but that's not what you're going on. At least for me, I'm like, okay, I don't recognize these actors, but this movie looks damn good.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Right.
It's sold. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I mean, just a wealth of information has just kind of like hit us. It's always inspiring talking to you. I mean, I'll be honest, like I didn't really know what to expect, and it just feels like talking to a fellow artist. There's
I appreciate that.
Definitely.
I just try to be, authentic of who I am. I love
comes through.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about all the things that mean something to me.
Yeah.
And I always just try to, you're always gonna get pretty much a pretty unfiltered, real, as real as it's gonna be. Because again, I'm just like everyone else. I love this. I'm a fan. And I'm always been I roll with everybody. I just That's just who I am. This is personality thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it comes from like, you know, in a past conversation, we talked about like working with different people and people in the creative industry. And you can tell when somebody has been in it for a while, who has experienced some losses, who's got their ass kicked, you know, like there's a certain flavor that your art takes on, even when you talk about it, when you've been in the trenches for a while.
You know, this is the time to make a name for yourself. This is the time to get out there so people know who you are before, you know, it'll get to the point where it's going to get really, really cluttered. Because that's what's going to stand out. But that's just like regular movies, right? The really well done ones stand out above the crowd. Those are the ones that I remember. Everything else, you know, it's here for a second and it goes away. May never see it again. But then you have the other ones that rise to the top, and that's good. Everyone has that ability to do it, as long as you have something, you know, worthwhile to tell and say. But you know, the tools are accessible to everyone. Now, there's no excuse, really.
I feel like we're going to see a lot more Kanes, like a lot more of those artists that are just naturally talented, that couldn't really express it before. I mean, maybe some kid from in the middle of nowhere that wouldn't have been discovered otherwise, right? Which that's exciting to me. There's so many artists that we have yet to see what they can do.
There's tons. There's thousands and tens of thousands of creative voices that just never had the outlet before or the resources to do it. But especially as filmmakers, right? Filmmakers, it's an expensive, you know, it's expensive. I mean, now you can shoot a film on your phone too.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
And, I mean, it's been very inspiring, and I know it's helped both me and Carlos creatively. And
definitely.
I guess, you know, to kind of wrap it up, I mean, this is the spotlight time, the plug away, baby. What do you got?
Just so you know, this is gonna cut off in a second. But you know, the main thing I guess is Backrooms. You know, everyone's go check out Backrooms. It's gonna be great.
I think so
Hopefully
too.
there's sequels, which I know, I'm pretty sure there will be. But you know, the big plug is Backrooms, and you know, that's it. That's the biggest thing I got.
Is it safe to say that you're gonna stick in the horror realm for a little bit, or what do you think?
You know, the movie that we're in posting right now is horror. I love horror. I'll always be there. But there's I have, you know, two other projects, not necessarily horror. There are some horror moments, but those are big, a little more outside of the horror narrative. But they still deal with some darker. It's more like Requiem for a Dream type stuff.
Gotcha.
Psychological.
Horror in a different aspect, I guess, but the focus isn't really horror. But I love horror. You know, that's where it's at. Just one of those genres that just speaks to you, that you just love and you appreciate, especially when it's well done. And you know, it's just something about it. And I always feel like, you know, horror is kind of like the rebel, right? It's kind of like, you know, I don't give a fuck. We just gonna do it like this, and that's where you can have a lot more, especially on the indie front. More creative flex. You know, you can flex a little bit more with the creativity, or push the edginess, or how far you want to take things. I think it's you have a bit more creative expression. With horror than you do with other, you know, categories and genres.
Right on. Well, I can't wait to see Backrooms. I think I've been calling it the Backrooms.
It used to be the Backrooms.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Like Backrooms.
It takes too long. It takes too long to say the.
Yeah. No, again, thank you so much for your time. I forgot to mention, this is our very first episode. So like, what a huge honor to have you for number one.
I
You set
appreciate
the
you
high.
guys having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
Of
Thanks so
course.
much.
Thanks so much, Chris.
All
All
right.
right.
We'll chat
All right,
soon, man.
Carlos.
Hope to see you next
Catch
week.
it. Yeah.
Bye. Oops.